cut you off. I see Brenna. I'm sorry, sir. Brenna was getting ready to introduce herself.
Greetings, everyone. I am Brenna Osborne. I'm a junior psychology major from Gloucester County, Virginia. I enlisted 2018 into the National Guard as a 92 Gulf, but right now I am in the SMP program. I am a Minuteman Scholarship recipient, so I will continue in the Guard. My hopes was to become an active duty officer, but I didn't really want to pass on the opportunity for the scholarship. So hopefully in the future I'll be active duty. So in the meantime, I'm thinking about getting 2 more degrees, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh, 2 more degrees, eh?
Hey,
We got a doctor coming soon.
Yeah.
hey, Captain Askew.
Yes, sir.
Hey, can I interject real fast?
Please.
Hey, Brenna. Hey, thanks for giving that introduction right there. And you helped me think about something that I need some assistance with. Not from you per se, but you can provide some assistance. Captain Askew, if we can look through the alumni network, I have someone that was branched Army Reserves, but they're a little apprehensive about it, and they don't think that this is the best route for them. And I need someone that can help me with the narrative. Yeah, I think I've talked till I turned blue in the face about having a commission in any component.
I'll take that on, sir. You got my number already, sir. So I'm AGR now. I left active duty, went to the reserve side, and that's kind of what we were just talking about. Is kind of either the cadet feeling left to the wind and kind of giving up on themselves, and or the program not giving that proper motivation. It's a part of what we're talking about with the future mentorship program that Team Bowden is putting together underneath the military alumni. But anybody, Guard or Reserves, you can push it to me today, sir.
Is that person at the road march right now, sir?
No, they're not. And I'm not giving up on them. So that's the thing about it.
Right.
Everything humanly possible to make sure they don't shoot themselves in the foot and get so far off the path that there's nothing I can do that. And
absolutely.
I just got to get them and their family on board. Unfortunately, I got to get everybody on board behind this. So, but no, I'll reach out, and if we can get something set up, that would be awesome. And we'll go from there.
Yes, sir. We'll make it happen.
All right. So just so everybody knows, we're live again on both Facebook pages as well as YouTube, and then we're recording again in here.
All right. So let's go ahead and begin this conversation again, right? Hey, so initially, that last time we were focused on the JROTC cadets. Right now, this is our ROTC cadets from Virginia State University, right? I say that for a reason. This conversation may be a little different, right? Because as graduates of Virginia State University, we look at y'all as representatives of us, right? So when you graduate and you commission from Virginia State University, hey, that means something. That should mean something, right? And Virginia State University is a brand that we must all protect. So we wanted to put together this forum so we can sit back and have conversations, right? Any questions that you may have, there are plenty of active duty officers and NCOs online. Some of you already understand, Cadet de Leon, Staff Sergeant, you've been there, done that. Some of you all may not have seen it all the way. I know Niven just came back from deployment, so she definitely has her experience, right? But for the rest, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them. There's no such thing as a silly question, all right? There's a depth of experience here. And we gave our introductions before. So I'm gonna just lead this off with a simple question. What are your questions for the cadets out there?
I had one, sir.
Go ahead, brother.
So, because all I did was really apply for the program because I wanted to go officer. So, as far as actually researching the branching, how we do our ascensions, I know we talked about it in class with Sergeant Green, the MS3 instructor, and I've researched on my own as far as the regulation he gave me to look it up. But I heard something about ADSO that Lieutenant Taylor talked about one time with me, but I haven't really gotten any clarification as to what that is. And I was wondering if that was a way to guarantee getting an active duty slot once you commission.
So I know the main thing that determines your ability for active duty is how well you perform, right? And when I say how well you perform, your GPA, if I remember correctly, is like 40% of your overall standing on the OML. In addition, you have to do well at camp. And I want to say that's based off your ability to execute land nav, your ability to PT, your ability to simply lead, because peer evaluations have a large input on your overall assessment. And when it comes to the ADSO, the additional active duty service obligation, let's say you want to go to Fort Hood, and that's where you want to go. They give you the option, okay, if you get 2 more years, if you commit 2 more years to the Army, you can go to Fort Hood, but just know that you owe the Army 2 more years. Another example is certain fellowships and certain programs that require ADSO. I just got picked up for a Major General Wright Fellowship. So next summer I'll be at William and Mary. By taking that, I owe the Army, 3 days for every day that I spend in school. So that's an additional 3 years. That's how those ADSOs work, those additional service obligations. But once again, the best way to guarantee active duty is to give it your all each and every day. And when you come from the active duty option, from my time there, Major Littlejohn, sir, from your time there, I'm not sure if I ever met anyone who was at active duty that when they came out, they commissioned Guard or Reserve because they failed to meet the standard. Hey, Evan, did you have something you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I ADSO'd. So when I ADSO'd to try to get signal. So my top 2 choices was signal and engineering. So something to think about, like when you ADSO, it's ADSOing for your top 2 choices. So you could put for your first choice, say your first choice was signal, and then your second choice was engineer. In the contract, it reads that you will get either or. One of them, you will get an additional, I think it's additional 2 more years, like you were saying. So my current contract is for 6 years instead of the traditional 4 years, and I ADSO'd and got engineer.
Does that answer your question?
Roger, thank you.
Okay. Any other cadets out there? Y'all have any questions?
I have a question.
Please.
It sounds like for those who are in the reserve component, it's easy to go on orders. Now for National Guard, can I do that in case, like, that's kind of like my plan B in case I do not get any more degrees or anything. So is that possible?
Yeah, so Guard and Reserves is similar. It's all based off of funding. Usually coming into the new fiscal year, you're going to have issues if you're in reserves because we do federal funding, whereas in the states, you don't usually have continuing resolutions, which just means a budget hasn't been passed. But yeah, those opportunities exist. A lot of the Guard call them PFIs if you're going to do an active duty installation. They call them PFIs. If not, they also have an AGR program, which is a little bit more equivalent to the civilian world than it is on the reserve side. In the Guard, they interview you. So you just go in. There's a list at every state headquarters, every tag office that you can check out and see what AGR positions they have available. You'll interview and get the job. The challenge comes in the Guard is once you take that job, that's the rank you got. Because in the reserve components, plural, Guard and Reserve, in order to promote to the next rank, you can be promotable forever. But in order to promote, you must be in the seat. You must be in a position of the rank you need to hold. And you're supposed to technically be there for about a minimum of 90 days prior to that and a minimum of 18 months following. But yes, to answer your question, those opportunities do exist in the Guard as well to come on orders. You just got to find the units, and then I'll do the mantra that the CAR does all the time. CAR is the Chief of the Army Reserve. Reminding folks that the reserves and the Guard component is not a jobs program. However, there's never a shortage of deployments out there. Some of those deployments could take you to Tampa. Some could take you to Afghanistan. Some could take you to Poland. So I would recommend you get on this thing called S1Net. You can just Google it, S1Net, and then it'll take you to a Mill Suite account. You log in, register, and periodically, probably every 3-4 days, at the bottom of that mail suite, they'll publish all YS taskers. YS a worldwide individual augmentee system. So all YS taskers, those are open mobilizations, both stateside and overseas. And then they also have a program called Tour of Duty. You can go to the Tour of Duty through the HRC website or Google, and Alexis is on a Tour of Duty right now, actually. You know, you can go to those sites, and they are both reserve and guard, can accept either. What's your branch again?
I want to branch medical.
So right now for medical, there's a lot of opportunities in to come on orders, obviously due to the current situation. I will say that if you go into the reserves, however, the reserves is reshaping their medical corps heavily. And so they're picking lieutenants up on the AGR program directly now. So just giving you some tidbits of advice in the next 2 years as they grow the reserve, because that's what the Army Reserve is based off of.
Thanks, sir. We really appreciate that, sir. Lieutenant Lincoln, I know you had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of what Major Littlejohn said, Cadet Osborne, you know, I'm currently executing a warfighter exercise. So this is week 2 here in Pennsylvania. I have a 3-week mission, and my unit in Nevada currently has been on order since February, just because of the pandemic. So, you know, like Major Littlejohn said, there is an opportunity to go AGR. There's an opportunity, you know, to get picked up for a certain job. But a lot of times, depending on what type of unit you're in, you train a lot. You know, had COVID not happened, I would be in Germany right now. So, you know, don't think because you're going guard or reserve that, again, that's a failure and you're just going to go 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks out of the year. Because I was at Fort Irwin, attached the 11th ACR, sucking through life in an OP, you know, because that's what I had to do. So, and then also I would look at different states and see the benefits. I know my state here in Nevada, any in-state college, tuition and books are covered for being a National Guard soldier. So a lot of like my soldiers are in school at UNLV or University of Nevada at Reno for free, just for being a member. So that there's that trade-off too. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have any additional questions out there?
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Go ahead, Smith. Bill, we'll come to you next.
Yes, sir. So, I'm just a ROTC cadet, sir. I do not serve in any of the components, sir, reserve or guard. So I was wondering, what exactly did you all do to prepare for advanced camp, as far as in terms of retaining the information and applying it, sir?
So I'll be the first to tell you, right? So prepare yourself. Are you familiar with 6-22?
No, sir.
All right. And what year is this for you?
I'm an MS2, sir.
Okay, good copy. Hey, so I don't want you to think for 1 second I'm trying to haze you online, right? But I would encourage you, for your success is dependent upon you and your actions. I say that to say, first thing you can do, those senior enlisted cadre, all right, Virginia State University, hey, listen to them, talk to them, right? Those officers that are there assigned to help develop you, listen to them, go talk to them. You got Sergeant Major Retired Orth, you got Miss Chisholm, Miss Thomas, everyone in that ROTC building has served, right, to some capacity. And I would encourage you to look at the ROTC website, talk to the cadre, and if you want to be successful, they know the tools to success. But a lot of that is dependent upon you. You have to go into the regulations, right? Battle drill 2 is that react to contact. Ask me how I still know that after years. It's been years since I've done that. It takes time. You have to go out and you have to get your reps in. Additionally, you have to find a group of like-minded people, just like you, who want the same thing that you want, and associate yourself with people who want excellence. Because when you do so, you get into the habit of doing things right the first time. You get into the habit of studying. You get into the habit of preparing yourself. So when it's time for you to go, you go and get it. Right now, you may not be able to go out and do land nav, but if you wanted to, I'm pretty sure you can go on campus and ask, hey, may I have a protractor? May I have a map? May I have some guides? And you can go home and you can self-study. Any questions you may have, you can go out and reach to someone. There are multiple ways to do it, but I assure you, your success is dependent upon you and your actions. You know what I mean? So please read. I encourage you to read, ask questions. If you don't know something, ask somebody who does. Don't hesitate to say you don't know, right? If you don't know, find out. And at that point, go out and teach the next person. That makes sense. And I think I saw Bird. Did you want to add something to that?
Nah, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Kirby.
Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, so I just wanted to piggyback off of Tyran, Captain Askew, some things that I think were successful for us and me and Tyran's class. Well, one, we only had 2 or 3 MS4s at the time when we were MS3. So like he said, is a lot of it is on you, getting that right circle for you all to with like-minded people and sit down and talk with. One thing that helped me out was I read. So at the time, I'm not sure if it's still allowed, but Colonel Maloney, he was up here at MS at the time. He printed off a bunch of op orders for us. And one thing I did was just read. I just read op order, and broke it down. And I also made a script in my green book. I still have my green book from camp to this day. I made a script on it, on things that, keywords I should be looking out for as far as mission, the situation, how many enemy, how many, or what, some of the stuff from the op order. Also for land nav, I know Tyran hit on land nav. I would take 550 cord, get the string out of 550 cord and tape it down the middle of your protractor. That way you can get, precise, azimuth on your protractor. And the biggest thing, just muscle memory, just do rehearsals, man. The 1/3, 2/3 rule is a real thing. Work on that. And, if you need any help, we're just a call away.
Something else I want you to take into consideration, right? And never forget that the military is a professional people. And people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. I say that to say you can study every regulation, every op order, and every battle drill there is. But if you can't lead the people that are required to execute those tasks, you'll never be successful. You understand what I'm saying? So how do you get better at being a leader? At the ROTC program, there are multiple ways to improve. You can join the Ranger Challenge team. You can become a member of the freaking drill team. Or you can just ask, hey, how can I help? Put yourself in positions that make you uncomfortable. That's the only way to grow. Put yourself in positions that make you intentionally uncomfortable. Because I'll tell you what, once you get that feeling, you feel that pressure one time, the next time it comes around, you're not as tense. You understand what I'm saying? And read. In addition to Army regulations, I would encourage you to read current events, right? You want to be able to you expect to be an officer. You want to be able to know what's going on with current events. Hold an intellectual conversation. Read books on leadership. I'll tell you 2 books that really helped shape me and define me who I am as a leader. Leadership 101 by John C. Maxwell and How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. These books are extremely simple. But I tell you, understand that you're going to be put in front of a platoon. They're going to have certain expectations out of you. And you can go there with 2 mind states. You're the lost LT or you're the platoon leader. You know what I mean? And every day that Virginia State, every day that you have right now under that umbrella of ROTC is an opportunity to go out there and get better. You understand what I'm saying? Take every opportunity to get better. I remember being in the ROTC lab. We actually lived in the lab. Right now, things are a little different due to the COVID environment, but it's some clear up. Remain optimistic. I'm looking at some of these faces because I remember Simmons, Lincoln, Kirby, when we were there, we lived in the ROTC lab. Maybe because we were Persians, or maybe because that's what we wanted to be. But we spent a lot of time at that ROTC lab helping each other become better each and every single day. But remember, this is a professional people. So in addition to developing yourself, make sure you can develop others and motivate them to get the job done. All right. So Bill,
one more thing to add there, Tyran. I would say for you, man, also don't be afraid to fail. I think that's what. So I used to be an ROTC instructor, and that's the biggest thing that, you know, as instructors we saw was cadets were afraid to fail and overthinking themselves and just completely taking themselves out of the mission. So the camp is designed for you to learn and you know, get all those flaws and those mishaps out during camp. So when you get to the real army, or the real world, you know, all that stuff is ironed out, you know. So like I said, don't be afraid to fail. Everyone makes mistakes. All right, don't second guess yourself too much. Just go out there, be relaxed, and make the right decision.
Oh yeah. Hey, Markel, you
Yes,
had
sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Markel, you had a question? You still on mute, Killer?
There we go. The question I was going to ask is, what's life like upon commission and graduation? You know, what's expected at BOLIC? You know, what's life like there?
We got some recent platoon leaders out there. I want Evan to take this one. You are at Fort Hood, right? You just finished life in the 3 shop. What's a day like as a lieutenant right now?
So they like as a lieutenant right now in the 3 shop. It's pretty much like ROTC. You go in, you do PT in the morning. After PT, you got that break period to get ready, prepare yourself for the rest of the day. And then it's like as soon as you go in, you have your regular sync. After a sync, you pretty much go over the tasks that you have to complete today. So for me, it's mostly checking up with the companies, making sure that they're completing tasks, because I currently write the daily tasking orders, making sure companies are going to where they need to be, pretty much executing stuff on the behalf of the battalion, whether that's turning in ammo or making sure people are making it to TC Ames class, which is like transport, container, animation, all that stuff. It's not too bad. You just got going with a positive mindset. You're constantly busy. You're constantly moving around, just making sure that anything that the BC needs or the assistant S3, you're just making sure that you're that middleman essentially.
Hey, Cadet Bill, I appreciate that question, but once again, what class is this for you? You're MS 1, 2, 3?
3.
Okay, and what do you want to branch when you come off?
I was thinking infantry.
Okay. Hey, Marlon, Brownsy. So Brownsy, you're currently down in Ibolic, Columbus, Georgia, finishing up Ibolic, getting ready for Ranger School. Hey, please provide any advice you have.
So the best what I can tell you is in Ibolic, it's like college in terms of like when you're in the classroom, you go in, you learn a lot of the tactics and op board briefs and a lot of like information that is key to be a really good infantry officer. All right. But at the same time, Ibolic is not the infantry school here is the training. It can be it just throws you out there, right? To a lot of these instructors, some of them, I'm not gonna lie, you're a number. You go in and you go into the field, you do your missions, you might learn a thing or two because I mean, in the infantry, it's a dog-eat-dog world. All right. You got a lot of big-headed people that know their stuff or they don't know their stuff, right? Some people come from OCS, some people come from the Guard, some people are going straight active duty, right? It is, when you go into the infantry, it's very not difficult, it's different, right? When I went into the infantry, when I'm here, like it's very different. I'm not gonna lie to you. But going in, they don't really teach much. So you have to learn on your own from people's mistakes. You pay attention to your own mistakes, because you're going to fail. Like you're gonna trip up here and there. So you learn from that, and you learn from your other people's mistakes. And then I'm sorry, it's very difficult because my Ibolic experience is not the best.
No, we understand, Brownsy, but we also have another infantry officer. We have
Mylan might be able to speak on to it more.
Well, yeah, basically what Lieutenant Brownsley is saying is again, just to reiterate this, it is a serious gut check to go to IBOLIC. There's, my class, we started with 43 and we graduated 30 lieutenants. And that's people having injuries, saying, hey, I can't do this, all kinds of things. And what I would tell you right now at Virginia State, and all cadets on this, take advantage of the time you have now. Make your mistakes, try things that you wouldn't normally try, volunteer for leadership, be on drill team, be Ranger Challenge, be Persian Rifles, Persian Angels, Scabbard and Blade. Take advantage of that, because as soon as you commission and you leave BOLIC and you're in front of your platoon, it's real. It's real. So you are entrusted with 24 to 40, however many are in your platoon. You're entrusted with those people's lives. So decisions you make can be life or death. I've unfortunately been in a situation where, I've had good friends and soldiers that have died, and that's real. Having to be on maneuvers and somebody dies because of a training accident or combat and still having to continue mission, it's hard. So take advantage of college, enjoy it, have fun, push yourself, learn, read, ask questions, because once you become a second lieutenant and a platoon leader, there's not going to be time for you to ask a lot of questions. It's going to be self-study and making mistakes. And you really don't want to make too many mistakes at that level. So take advantage. I call Captain Askew and Captain Kirby. I call Major Littlejohn. I know them as Eric, Tyran, and Jody, but I had a relationship with them in college, and make relationships with the other cadets. Take advantage of the NCOs that are cadets too. They've been in the Army and they know how big Army works. So set yourself up for success now, and that way it's an easier transition, because you're going to make mistakes. But if you're reading now and learning, you'll be fine. So,
Roger.
And Markel, I'll tell you, so I am not an infantry officer. I'm Signal Corps, right? But I am with the 3rd ID, 3rd Infantry Division down here in Fort Stewart. I'm a proud dog-faced soldier. I say all that to say, no matter what branch you choose, realize what you're doing, right? I'm not trying to discourage you from being an infantryman. In fact, I want you to take, if you want it, take it. And I have somebody that you can talk to about it. Virginia State graduate, Ranger type, Pathfinder. He's all of it. But realize that when you become an infantryman, you're taking America's sons and daughters and you're on the front line, right? I don't want to get too far into operations, but just picture a football field. On a football field, from 0 to 50, 50 to 10. That's how the military is in a sense when it comes to getting that land dominance. You have the shaping operations in the deep fight, you got the close fight, and you have the rear where guys support. No, when you are infantry, you are the tip of the spear, right? There are certain expectations, so mentally prepare yourself. When you say you want to be an infantryman, do know you're going to be the tip of the spear. You're going to lead men and women in combat operations, right? So you owe it not only to yourself, but you owe it to America's sons and daughters and those soldiers that you lead. You take every opportunity to better yourself. Because when it happens, it happens. And if you look at our current environment, military follows a 4+1 threat model, right? That 4+1 threat, to put it into perspective, the +1 is VEOs. We consider those violent extremist organizations. The other 4 countries, we have North Korea, China, Russia, and Iran as adversaries, not enemies. There's a difference, right? We sustain where we are in the event that if something happens, that we can go out and fight and win America's wars. Simple as that. But do know that this next war, I tell my soldiers all the time, it's not going to be like this, how it was for the last 20 years. You understand what I'm saying? Because when we go fight these extremist organizations, they have no real government, which means they have no real economy. Those 4 countries I mentioned, North Korea, Russia, Iran, and China, they have a government, which means they have an air force, they have a navy, they have an army, they have Marines. It's going to be total war from all aspects: land, sea, air, cyber, space. You have to mentally prepare yourself for that. So the days of going into someone's country and taking over and setting up a FOB, a forward operating base, it's no longer the case. Today's infantryman, today's soldier, we're learning large-scale combat operations. And you have to prepare yourself that, okay, it's no longer just battle drill 1 Alpha. You look up, you see a bomber plane headed your way, or you taking naval gunfire off the coast. it may sound like a movie, but no, this is the reality of being a soldier in the United States Army. So mentally prepare yourself, realize that you owe it not only to yourself, but once again, America's sons and daughters, because we're putting the trust in you. You understand what I'm saying?
Well,
the trust is in all of us, but we all have our roles, and just make sure you understand your role properly. That makes sense?
well,
Okay. Any additional questions?
If I may,
Oh yeah, please.
I'm gonna keep it a stack. When you go, if you're truly interested in doing infantry, you have to ensure that your physical fitness, your tactical like profession, you have to be on, like, I hate to say it, you have to be on your stuff. Like, you have to understand everything tactically, efficiently, like, because these guys in the infantry is really very headstrong about this stuff. You're gonna see people that like are extremely physically fit, like you 335 PT score, right? So you want to be infantry, that's your goal. You like, I don't know, you MS3?
yes, that's second lieutenant.
MS3, you have a year, 2 years until your eyeballing date to like get into some crazy physical fitness. Your run time, I'm telling you now, you got to be fast, because you go to Ranger school, you know, they are crazy about that, right? Your PT score, your ACFT score, I'm talking you need to be like passing that with like flying colors, okay?
Tracking.
Your ability to brief an op ward or any type of mission, you need to be able to adapt. If something changes from your PL and you're briefing your squad, you need to be able to look at him and be like, okay, I got this, and then snap. You brief your squad and they understand. Like, even if you're a security squad leader and you don't do anything, you ensure that every single soldier within your squad or your platoon like understands every minute detail of a mission. Because security squad, sure, you sit there, you don't do nothing. You might look at the trees, right? But as a leader, you have to ensure that every single soldier within your platoon or your squad understands the nitty and gritty details of a mission. Because when it's time for you to go to your actual platoon or you're doing a mission, like, your soldiers need to know the details of this mission.
And as Brownsy said, right, I want you two to continue this conversation offline. And Brownsy, get with Bill, but do know everything you're doing, they're doing it for a reason. Like I said, you lead America's sons and daughters, and you are the tip of the spear. So we only want the best of the best at the tip of the spear. Simple as that. We'll continue this on later. I know we have other cadets up here. We have Nevins, Osborne, Johnson. Y'all have any questions or any areas you want to talk about?
I did have a question, sir.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, as a cadet that's also already enlisted, would it be easier just for me to try to branch the MOS that I already have, like the component, the branch that I have is engineer, so I'm a combat engineer enlisted. Is it easier just to branch engineer or go for what I originally joined ROTC for, which is JAG?
So I would argue, there's a lot of people, I would argue that it's dependent upon what you want to do, right? So the easy route is to stick with what you know. But if you look at your 5 to 10 year plan and you see your end state and you set SMART goals, SMART is an acronym: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. If you have those goals set and you know what you want to do, if the easy route doesn't get you there, but it's easy and you want to take it, that's a choice. If the hard route, you want to be a JAG officer, you want to be that lawyer, you want to run for Congress one day and be a judge, do realize the decisions you make now as a junior cadet, those decisions you make now as a young leader will affect you 5 to 10 years from now. So I would encourage you to get your 5-year, 10-year plan together and strategically plan it out with multiple courses of action. And I have a 5-year, 10-year plan template that was provided to me that I can provide to you. And this is exactly what this is for.
Please do, sir.
This VSU Military Alumni. So you have my number. Please get with me and I'll send you my plan. But you can take the easy route. Believe you can, but is that what you want? You know what I mean? You said you want to be a lawyer. Go ahead, Sergeant Cannon.
My bad, sir. I just wanted to add in, do not take the easy route. That's not what we're here for. We're about achievement, success, and we're trying to motivate you guys to pretty much go and do, like, so the easy route would get somebody killed, and that's not what we're here for. The easy route is like, hey, let's go take this, let's go take this shortcut, go across this road, and then you don't do the tactical, the things that you pretty much learn while you're in school. You're doing your land nav, you don't know, you don't actually apply that. The easy route is gonna get you and your soldiers killed. Do not take the easy route.
Hey, and then Nivens, I'll hop back in.
Yes, sir.
So also remember that there's life after the Army. You know, you don't know how long you're gonna serve. One, it could be for your own personal motivation. You may just drain out after a period of time and decide you want to go about your business, or you may do 20 and go about your business, or you may jump out of a plane one day, you know, and find yourself being medically separated. So I'm huge on talking to folks about what do you want to be when you grow up. Every one of my mentors, like General Vi asked me that when he was Colonel Vi, coming back to Virginia State. And he asked me that over and over throughout my career, as well as successive mentors after that. The ones that actually meant something to me, that took time to invest in me, is what do you want to be when you grow up? You can do 20 years in the Army as an infantry officer, as an armor officer, as a signal officer, right? Like example, I'm signal. That is not my path that I want to do when I leave the military. I have no desire to do IT and communications when I leave the military. That's why my master's degree and my bachelor's degree marry up to go a different route. So take a deep thought before you pick your branches, right? Because again, JAG is not a primary base branch. There's a path to it first, you know, but take that time and that creative thought on what do I want to be later on.
Hey, just real quick too, and I'll get this out and then I'll be quiet. But like Major Littlejohn said, you got to think about what your end goal is. You know, as an infantry officer and I'm in an armor role too. You know, my end goal is to get a nursing degree and become a medical officer. So, you know, I've done everything I wanted to do with the infantry. I love it to death. But I think that I can do more and serve better as a nurse, you know, so I'm using this experience that I have now to understand tactics, understand how things work, to understand, you know, how to Casevac somebody, but now I'm going to come at it at a different approach. So I'm constantly studying, reading up. You know, I never thought leaving Virginia State that I would be doing this or trying to transition to the medical corps. But, you know, as life goes on and you mature, you see things differently. So, yeah, I know we talk about a lot about infantry, but every branch is important. Every branch has a critical role. And you use your branch, be proud of your branch, and again, figure out what it is you want to do if you couldn't be in the Army tomorrow and start planning for that. So.
That's good stuff, Lincoln.
Thank you.
Hey, Johnson, Miller, y'all have any questions? I know, Miller, you're preparing for BOLIC and then getting ready for your trip to Korea, right?
Yes. Can everyone hear me? Like I said, I drive for Amazon, so I'm kind of in the boonies.
We can hear you. Go ahead. Be safe.
Okay. So one question that I have is yes, I'm going to BOLIC in March. I just want to know, like, what can I do to prepare for BOLIC? I'm going in as a quartermaster. I'm currently reading books on leadership. I'm currently working on my PT to make sure that I'm in top shape by the time I get to BOLIC. So is there anything additional that I can work on in order to prepare myself for BOLIC? And then I'm going to Korea after. So what can I do for that as well?
We have the perfect person for that. Captain Joseph Kirby. He's currently Battalion S4, 7 Special Forces Group. He's logistics, and he's at the Captain Career Course now.
Yeah, so as far as preparing for you know, BOLIC, there wasn't much that I really did other than PT. When you get there, you know, you're gonna do Army riding. It's gonna be a lot of death by PowerPoint, unfortunately, but you know, you're gonna did you say you want to branch ordnance?
No, I branch quartermaster.
Quartermaster, okay, well, I think the way they're doing it now is I branched ordnance originally. I think the way they're doing it now is they're combining everything. When I went through, they separated ordnance, transportation, and quartermaster. But yeah, I think they're combining everything now. So you know, you can go over ammo. You can go over fuel consumptions. You talk about, you know, shower and laundry companies. What else? Quartermaster things. So I wouldn't stress too much on preparing. I think the biggest thing is to just, you know, make sure your PT is good. Because when you get there, you're probably going to do an initial PT test within the first week or two. Yeah, you should be good. Like I'm here until February. You know, I'm not sure when your date is, but you know, if you need some help, just let me know.
Hey, Miller, and if I can add on, I said this multiple times. I'm a Signal Corps officer. And I'm gonna be a Signal Corps officer until I get off. I love it, right? But regardless of what your branch is, we got ADP1, we have the Army, but you know you're gonna be one more time. You said ordnance,
Quartermaster.
Quartermaster. But when you come together, when you become that captain, you become a logistician. You look at ADP4, sustainment operations. Why not? You know you're going to career, right? When you go in a career, know you currently have a CAT card. You can go on what you call ATN, the Army Training Network. And based off the unit you're going to, you can look at that unit's medal, that mission essential task list. So you can start to gain an understanding of the unit you're going to before you even get there. And if you have the specific brigade or battalion, chances are there's a regulation for that. So there's a misconception that the Army is hard, that you have to go out here and you have to play the guessing game. No, you don't, right? That's why we have this panel going, so you can gain a mentor. But furthermore, there are so many resources that the Army puts out there for us to learn our jobs. So of course, if you want to look at ADP4, FM4, sustainment operations. You want to look at 3-show. You want to look at whichever branch, whatever battalion or unit you're going to, you want to pull their medal, their mission essential task list, figure out your role and figure out how you can best support that unit. And right now it may seem like a lot of information, right? But you have my number, I have your number, and we can talk more about this offline. But remember, the Army has regulations and manuals out there designed for us to succeed. I promise you.
Hey, Ty.
Sir, if I
I
could,
think Lieutenant Colonel Black wants to hop in.
Hey guys, I've been itching on this one right here. I'm gonna keep it really simplistic what I want to say, because I know everybody. Okay, what's BOLIC like? What's this like? I used to be a few jobs ago. I was the BOLIC, Transportation BOLIC branch manager, course director. So I got to see firsthand the quartermaster, the transportation, and the ordnance guys right out of college show up to Fort Lee. The biggest thing that you need to understand, yes, you need to be physically fit, but one of the biggest things you need to do is know your common courtesies, okay? Know your common courtesies. You just can't just show up and calling people, yeah, no, nah, ma'am. You know, you just those basic things that we learn in ROTC, how to salute, how to speak to officers, senior officers. What do you do when an officer enters the room? Because I saw all kinds of nonsense as the course director and things you wouldn't think you would have to explain to a second lieutenant that has gone through 4 years of ROTC, whether they're prior service, only did 2 years. You know, bottom line, you just need to know the basics of how to be an officer. You know, you show up to BOLIC, you listen, you be teachable. Don't act like you know everything, because you don't know everything. You show up, you learn the information that your instructors are trying to give to you, take notes, make friends, because you're going to run into these same people in the Army. The Army is very small. You're going to run into these people years down the road. Oh, hey, man, we were in basic together. Oh, yeah, we were. And you will be successful. That's the bottom line. You will be successful. Just read and learn and be teachable. And I'll get off my soapbox. Thanks for letting me chime in with that.
You got it, sir.
Sir, if I could speak on that, this First Lieutenant Ajala.
You graduated from Virginia State what year?
2018, December.
Okay, your branch
So,
is?
yeah, quartermaster.
Okay.
I just graduated BOLIC in May, and just to piggyback off what Lieutenant Colonel Black was saying, when you first come in, a lot of common courtesy was kind of like what needed to be spoke on. So I think I've gone with Siobhan offline, and I've sent her some information. What I would just advise her on is just to sign up for the leadership roles, because that's something that was at the first day of class. You have to sign up for a leadership role. Keep in contact with your TAC, because they are grading you from day one, and you want to make sure that you're in contact with them. The groups that you're gonna fall into second squad, first squad, whatsoever moving forward. So you want to make sure that you're keeping you're tight with your squad leaders and you're tight with your team leaders. Sign up for leadership role. Don't sit back. Take charge. one of the things that got me in trouble was I was trying to take charge of everything. So I would say, no, don't act like you know it all. Be very teachable, like Lieutenant Colonel Black just said. And I would say work on your PT as well. But when it comes down to it, know all of your classes of supply, which you and I have talked about your classes of supply, because you're learning what quartermaster is doing, transportation is doing, and ordnance is doing. Of course, you're not going to dive really deep into all those other components, but or branches, but they're going to focus just on your quartermaster branch. So I would just say sign up for the leadership classes and leadership row, and just don't act like you know it all, and be very teachable. That's all I have, sir.
We appreciate that, John. Appreciate that, brother. Any additional questions out there? Osborne, Johnson.
I don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay, what do you want to branch?
I do want to branch medical. If that doesn't work, quartermaster, since my MOS fell under quartermaster, but my goal is medical and to become a clinical psychologist in the Army.
Check. Hey, Johnson, Brianna Johnson. Is she not online? Okay, she said she's sick. Okay. All right, so hey, from the panel, as these cadets prepare to transition to active duty, guard, reserve, there are expectations of the lieutenants, right? As a former company commander, I expected my lieutenants to be exactly what Colonel Black said, teachable, moldable, and receptive and respectful to understand the small things. Hey, from your experience, I really want to lean on Sergeant Cannon for this. When you see that new lieutenant come to the unit, what do you expect from him or her? And more importantly, who should he or she reach out to? I'm assuming the supply, of course, because they're going to have a property book. Maybe that company XO, that senior lieutenant, of course, their commander and their first sergeant. Sergeant Cannon, please elaborate for me.
Yes, sir. So brand new lieutenants coming to the unit, they should definitely get with the supply, like you just said, operations, maintenance officers, XOs, company commander, first sergeant, and their platoon sergeants, squad leaders as well. I've seen a lot of platoon leaders coming in, some of them coming in hot and heavy, thinking that they're running stuff. And then NCOs like myself have to kind of check them and pretty much, no offense for all the officers in the room. I just try to keep it real. But sometimes we have to kind of check them and let them know, like, because we as NCOs, we are the direct line with the soldiers. Officers are directly with the soldiers, but we as NCOs, we are getting in the nitty gritty with the soldiers and making sure they're 100% squared away. As far as the lieutenants, I highly recommend for most, especially second lieutenants, butter bars, some black bars coming in, to get involved with your equipment and then coordinate your equipment with the personnel that you have. I've had lieutenants who are skeptical, if you will, on property accountability, which is entirely my job. So I pretty much help make sure that they get squared away with that. So I don't know what the issue normally is, and every lieutenant I've talked to said they've had some type of class with property accountability. They've had some type of class with hand receipts. They had some type of class with equipment. But when it comes to actually maintaining it and properly accounting for it and the components, etc., that goes with it, they get a little shy and they get back into that shell. So if you don't know, like Captain Askew was saying, like Lieutenant Colonel Black was saying, get involved, engage with your NCOs, engage with those operations sergeants, getting involved with those first sergeants, your XOs, etc. Ask those questions, especially as a second lieutenant. That's when you're really molded the best. I'm going to harp on this one more time. All those NCOs, your platoon sergeants, squad leaders, etc., they have a lot of knowledge. The reason why they're wearing that rank is because they actually earned it. And with that being said, just kind of dig into their skull, because they know a lot. Just because they don't have that educational background on their rank does not mean that they are not educated. That's all I have on that, sir.
Hey, so Sergeant Cannon, he has some great points, right? And there's three types of officers in the military. You got your non-commissioned officers, your warrant officers, and commissioned officers. and we all have our role, and respect all of them accordingly. Respect all of them, right? Biggest mistake a lieutenant can make, man, this lieutenant got 8 alive at Fort Hood, Texas. We understand customs and courtesies, right? But there's certain things that I want you all to understand before you get to your first duty station. Yes, by doctrine, you outrank, by regulation, you outrank the sergeant major, right? But I don't want you to think for 1 second that when a sergeant major talk to you, that he or she needs to be in a position of attention, right? Humble yourself. Realize that that sergeant major or your platoon sergeant or even that team, that they have a lot more experience than you do, right? So respect that, learn from them, use them to learn from. The quickest way to take somebody off is to come in and yes, by regulation, you do outrank every warrant officer and every non-commissioned officer, but humble yourself, come with humility, listen and learn from them, all right? Listen and learn from them. So your non-commissioned officer's plan simply is that NCOs execute. There's a big misconception that NCOs don't plan. I'll tell you, our NCO Corps is extremely smart, extremely competent. There's not one plan that I create that I don't have input from my non-commissioned officers, from my warrant officers, right? Your non-commissioned officers, they will execute, but they will also assist you in planning. For example, I'll say, hey, we're going out to the field, hey, the entire convoy rolling out. First platoon sergeant, hey sir, I know what you want to do, but right now we can't do that because we have 3 vehicles in the maintenance shop. We have this going on. Or sir, you want to roll out at 0700, the roll's gonna be closed to PT and the soldiers still need to eat chow. They will help you plan, help you think, use them. Your warrant officers, and each brigade has a property book officer. For you young lieutenants, when it comes to property, my goodness, it can be a scary thing if you let it. But if you take the time, do the research, go on G-Army, develop a relationship with your supply sergeant, develop a relationship with your platoon sergeant, your company XO, reach out to the PBO. They want to help you. And then you have your field grade officers, your senior officers, and regular commissioned officers. So, sir, Major Littlejohn, from your level, what are your expectations of a young lieutenant?
Yeah, so I'd say kind of going along the lines and not repeating what was just said, understanding very early is the difference between personal power and positional power. Those two things can make or break you along the way, especially as a second lieutenant. We lead through leadership and not likership. So those two things are inverse, right? So when we talk about positional power, Ty already kind of spoke to it, where lieutenants come in and some get a little ahead of themselves, right? They get ahead of themselves in a couple of manners. First would be with your NCOs, kind of like except you learn, right? Second, I'm but this ain't the competition.
We can't hear you coming in like a T-Pain song. That's still on mute. What about now?
Test.
Solid.
Solid.
Yeah, we good to go, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So understanding your position, right? Positional power. You should find a balance between the two. So you don't want everybody in the world to have to like you just to lead them. However, you have to be likable. You have to be somebody that your teammates, your peers, your fellow platoon leaders, fellow XOs, other lieutenants and staff positions across the battalion, adjacent battalions want to work with. For me as a battalion XO and a battalion S3, I worked heavily with a lot of LTs in the units because they're the ones making it happen, right? Captains that are in command, they take orders from the tower, give distance, direction, move out, right? Lieutenants on the ground with the NCOs getting the job done. You can't get that done by yourself by being a jerk, right? You'll see yourself very quickly. I've seen many a lieutenant end up lost and afraid. And at the end of the day, the sergeant major is gonna, when the battalion commander says, well, what happened to this LT? Sergeant major and the platoon sergeants left him. Sergeant major gonna look that colonel right in the face, say, yes, sir, I did, they did. All right, that's where we have to do that, understanding where we fit into the role of personal power versus positional power. I think that's your biggest thing, right? And then learning, learn. And then my last one I'll give Ty is especially for HBCU cadets, right? We have a very huge level of comfort, right? So it doubles back on what Colonel Black said. We have a huge amount of comfort with who we walk in and how we walk in to talk, right? Because in ROTC, you interact with captains, sergeant first classes, even a lieutenant colonel. You interact with them very easily, very regularly. Some of you may even be in fraternities where those members of your fraternity that you're able to interact with like that, right? When you get in the Army, I'm gonna tell you right now, you can be my frat brother, you can be anything in the world, right? Ty is my frat brother. When he emails me, sometimes I tell him to drop it, right? Let the person higher rank tell you to drop it. He emails me, it always starts with Sir or Major Littlejohn. We're professionals first. And we get that skewed a lot as lieutenants when we walk in the door. We're so comfortable with being able to go up to Captain Jack, Captain Mac, Master and such and such. Now, we got roles in the Army. ROTC was a comfort, laxed environment for the purposes of building you to train a different way other than basic training. So when you get in the Army, remember to be a professional. Don't just go walking up and the first black officer you say, "Hey, what up, sir?" All right. So those are the things I'll leave you with is personal versus positional power, professionalism, and learning to work as a peer, as a leader with your subordinates and with your higher.
Yeah, so Major Littlejohn brought up great points. I'll tell you, it's 11 people up here, my fraternity brothers or sisters, right? But we all carry ourselves professional at all times. So I know Sergeant Cannon wanted to mention something else before we transition over to Lieutenant Lincoln. He has something to say as well.
I just want to add one more thing, and this is mainly specifically about property accountability and strategic management. For you cadets and lieutenants coming in, property accountability, like I said, has for some reason has become an issue. However, you all have a strategic position because you have the equipment and the personnel. You can also see echelons higher. So you can look at the company grade, you can look at the battalion and brigade and figure out what it is, what actually is your mission and what you can use your equipment for. There are a lot of times where all your equipment is not going to be up and running. So you're going to have some trucks that are in services. You're going to have some guns that are down that need to be serviced out. So you're going to have men who don't have the proper weapon. They don't have the correct training or whatever the case may be. So you have to figure out how to make sure that you execute mission as well. So with that being said, just understand your equipment, understand your personnel, understand what your capabilities are, your restrictions. But more importantly, understand what your echelons are doing below you and above you. So your battalion, brigade elements, what they're doing. And once you get higher into those ranks where you become captains, majors, etc., you're able to see other battalions, other brigades, etc. You can see what's going on from the left and right. So you can figure out where your strategic elements can move and how you can maneuver in a battlefield as well. It's going to help you. And I assure you, once you actually start learning that and you get comfortable in that, field exercises, any battles, anything you go through is going to become a piece of cake, and you're going to have the most confidence in your soldiers and your equipment, etc. You're not going to have any problems at all.
Thank you, Sergeant Cannon. Hey, Lincoln.
Yeah, and just a couple of things, real quick, for you people in Bolick, and maybe waiting to take a platoon or just took a platoon. One thing I always did, going from a light tank and even a scout platoon, I always was invested in my soldiers. And what I mean by that is when I first come into the unit, I sit down and have a one-on-one with every one of them. And it's not an interview, like a 30-minute long interview, but I try to get to know each one of them because we're going to be maneuvering together. We're going to be doing operations together. I need you to trust me and I need to trust you. And you need to create buy-in from your NCOs. At the end of the day, you are that platoon leader or, that XO. But you need to create buy-in from everyone on your team. So that way you all have an agreement, are on the same page that this is how we're going to execute the mission. Another thing too, you'll run into this. I've had disagreements with some of my sergeants, platoon sergeants, but I never had disagreements in front of soldiers. I've always closed the door. It's come to almost fight sometimes over certain things, but the platoon never knew what was going on. When we walked out of that door, we were a team. You always respect your NCOs, but there's times where, you know, some NCOs might not be the best, or they're stuck in their ways. They've had 10, 15 years in the Army and they feel like they know everything. But always praise in public, ridicule and you know, refine in private. Don't ever get in a shouting match with an NCO in front of other soldiers. That's not okay. And one other thing too, this is something that I just do. I'll never ask my soldiers to do something I'm not willing to do. Whether that's PT, whether we're picking up trash, police in the range, you know, whatever, we're servicing you know, we're cleaning weapons. I would never have my soldiers do something that I would not be willing to do myself. And that's something that I just tell you new lieutenants, anything, PT, cleaning weapons, doing training. You need to be with there. You need to be visible to those soldiers, so that way they know that what they're doing is important. So.
Hey, so one comment I mentioned in the chat is not fraternizing, right? So remember that lieutenant's about the same age as specialists. You'll see that populate quite a bit, and overall it's a downfall. But I'm going to transition into Lieutenant Pyle here. But what I'd like you to kind of talk to us about, Lieutenant Pyle. And Ajala, you can follow behind her if you like, since you just graduated. Out here learn how to peers, right? So as a major, I work every day with majors at a division, majors at a corps, major. Every major is not created equal in their position. So as you're graduating BOLC and you're starting to learn and test out your leadership style, talk to me, Lieutenant Pyle, about your experiences in BOLC and how you were able to lead your peers.
Lieutenant Powell, did you hear the question?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything. My internet was kind of going in and out.
No. Yeah, so Major Littlejohn was first saying, thank you for participating in today. We know you just graduated from Chemical BOLC. Based off your experience at Chemical BOLC, how did you best lead your peers, learn from your peers, and furthermore, how did Virginia State prepare you for this assignment?
Okay, I would like to start off by saying good morning, everyone. Yes, I just graduated from Chemical BOLC yesterday, actually, and I'm in Fort Sill, Oklahoma right now. So my experience at Chemical BOLC, I wanted to get on here first to say that I kind of feel like there's kind of a disconnection between the schoolhouse and the programs, whether it's ROTC, OCS, prior, it's kind of a disconnection because me arriving to Fort Leonard Wood, I had locks, and can you all hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
My connection's a little bad.
No, you're good to go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I just want to make sure. I had locks arriving to Fort Leonard Wood, and I was told to cut them off. I didn't get a greeting. I was just told when I first arrived, it was just, oh, you have locks, they have to go. So that's one thing that I would definitely advise. I would push for more of like a better communication with the schoolhouse because it was a surprise to me. I was not expecting that. And it was a disconnection because me being a second lieutenant, I don't want to come off as humble. I want to come off as humble, and I want to come off as, not being that second lieutenant who's like, oh, no, I'm not doing that, or no, I'm not doing that. But that's a really big task for somebody to take. Like, that's a lot to ask somebody to cut their hair. So I ended up having to cut my hair because if I didn't cut my hair, then I wouldn't graduate. So I don't have locks anymore. And it was kind of like the reason why I cut my hair after I did the training, it really wasn't worth it. So that's the first thing I would like to say. The second thing I would like to say, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
How was it leading your peers? Like what tactics, or how did you successfully lead your peers? Because that's one of the biggest challenges, or one of the hardest things to do, is to lead your peers.
Honestly, it wasn't really hard for me to lead my peers because I always had that line between professionalism and, having fun. So in BOLC, we're all the same age, well, most of us, and we're having fun, but I always made sure I kept that professionalism. And I think that's why it wasn't very hard for me to lead them, because they knew that when we're in class, when we're learning, when we're in the field, I'm not playing. And sometimes you're viewed as, oh, she's the Like, yo, you can't play with Powell. You can't play with Powell. No, you can't play with me because it's not the time to play. And so I think that's how it was kind of easy for me, because when it was time for business, it was time for business. Of course, when we're not in class, we're having fun. When we're having fun and like, you know, doing stuff that we would do. But I think that having that knowing the difference between when to be professional and when to have fun is really important when you're in both, because everybody's kind of in the college mindset still. So like, oh, we want to go out to the bar, and it's like, it's basically having like a 9 to 5. Like after 5 o'clock, we were free every day and we didn't work on the weekends. So everybody's so used to like going to happy hour and stuff like that. And so I think it was important to definitely make sure that they knew that when it's time to be professional, it's time to be professional. And when it's time to play, then it's time to play. So.
So I think Powell had some great points, right? But I want to remind you, as Major Littlejohn stated, hey, don't fraternize with your soldiers. You are the same age as a lot of your specialists, your team chief. You'll be the same age as them. But as that commissioned officer, you're expected to hold a higher standard. It's as simple as that. And this is my philosophy, right? And I just want to throw it out there. As Powell stated, it's a time to play. It's a time to work, right? Maintain that professionalism at all times. I would encourage you to go out with your battle buddies, off duty, have a drink with them, fellowship, and begin to know them. Because I'm a firm believer that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Furthermore, realize our profession. I graduated from Virginia State in May 2013. June, I was in Bolic. October, I took a platoon in Fort Hood, Texas. In January, and I was in Afghanistan. This is one of the few professions that'll put you in a leadership position immediately, put you on responsible for people's lives, and the decisions you make can either save or take a life. And do know that in our profession, we deploy thousands of miles away from home with the possibility of no return. So you have to build that trust in those relationships in garrison. So by the time you get to those combat environments and it's time to do the nation's work, you have trust, you have unity. And I know, Ajali, you wanted to add something on as far as the fraternization.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So just to piggyback off what you just said, understanding the differences between professionalism and when to play. So one thing that I would say is character. Your character takes you a long way, very long way. If your character is jacked up, your peers will smell that on you. And from my experience at Bolic, one of the things that I worked on before going to Bolic was my character, understanding how to work with different different peers, ones that know it all, ones that don't know it all, or ones that are in the middle. So understanding that when we're in class, and leading your peers, if they understand your principle and your character, and they know that you care, they will follow you. If they understand that you know your regulation and you're not just BSing or just saying things out of your, excuse my French, out of your ass, they're going to follow you. They're going to listen. So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. And
hey, Tyran, can I jump in for a second, man?
Well, please.
Hey, so I wanted to I tried to get in a little earlier, man, but as far as that things to expect when you arrive, like Sergeant Cannon said, you don't want to come in too hot, man. Things that I would do, I would say to do is to learn your mission essential task list for your company, whether it be an FSC or whatever. Learn your commander's intent, his philosophy, on what he or she is looking to accomplish during their tenure. Also, the piggyback off of Lieutenant Powell, I think she was talking about her dreadlocks. Don't really know. I thought you were allowed to have dreadlocks. I don't know the regulation on that, but I say that to say this: when people tell you something, not saying that you did this, but when people tell you something, don't be afraid to go back and pull a regulation to verify it. You can trust but verify. You hear that all the time. Also, appearance is a big thing. I'm sitting here and I scroll through the chat. I'm looking at people, whatever. I would say for you male cadets out there, look at everybody in this chat right now. Nobody has a mustache. Nobody has a beard. I know it's one of those things where, you know, some people love to have to keep it. I'm just telling you, as far as, you know, you go into that Force.com land or wherever, you got to get rid of it, man. I know you want to hold on to it, but you got to get rid of it because you'll never get that first appearance, that initial appearance back from your, you know, from your Raider or your soldiers. And if you're standing up front, you know, with the beard or whatever, and the rest of your platoon is clean shaved, you know, what does that say?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Captain Kirby. You only get one time to make a first perception. And I know Sergeant Cannon, so we're blessed to have Sergeant Cannon online. He's actually EOL, Equal Opportunity. So I'm gonna allow him to speak more on the hair situation.
Second Lieutenant Powell, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. It's a little disheartening that someone told you that you have to cut your locks off simply because, honestly, that's an opinion. That's not regulation. AR 600-20 Command Policy, Chapter 6 goes on equal opportunity. AR 670-1 is something about the wearing appearance of the uniform. If you go into the females, I want to say Chapter 13. Don't quote me on that. I have to verify and look back into it. I stated in the chat earlier I had to verify that part of the regulation. But for some reason, females, as well as African American soldiers in general, get penalized for a specific hairstyle, if you will, haircut, if you will, simply because it is considered quote unquote faddish is the word that is normally used. And faddish, for example, I had curls. I had my hair naturally curls when it grows. So around the COVID time where we was like, we could not go to the barbershop, I would get like a curl brush or a curl sponge and I would curl my hair so I can keep it according to the regulation upkept so that it was neat and in a upkept appearance. So the dreadlocks or the locks, especially for females who can grow their hair out, is not on your collar as long as it's tied up. If you had it in a ponytail or you was able to bun it up. I've even seen, actually, matter of fact, as of yesterday, I seen a staff sergeant walking around who had locks and it was braided, and yet still the PC still fits normally. So for whatever reason, if they told you to cut your locks and it's because your PC does not fit correctly, or for that reason your gas mask does not fit correctly, then I think that I can understand that, but that means you actually just have to change the style of your hair. You do not have to cut your hair. They can't authorize you to do that. And if they do, I would advise, in my opinion, is you could take it or leave it. I would advise you get with your EO opportunity leader, that NCO or the EOA who's at the battalion level. And I would ask them that question: why do I need to cut my hair based on personal opinion, or is there regulation? If there is one, instead of just telling me, show me, highlight it, print it off, do whatever the case may be. I'm gonna give you a personal experience. Like I said before, I had curls in my hair. My first sergeant told me to cut my hair because she said it was too long. And my first sergeant's female, Caucasian female. She said for me to cut my hair because it was too long. I told her no. And I said it was not too long because you also have drill sergeants, those who train soldiers who can literally comb their fingers through their hair, swing it over. And then just because you have people who got gel and lay their hair down, does not mean that their length of their hair is not too long. So I pointed to each of those drill sergeants who are actually supposed to be the frontline soldier. I pointed to each one of them and asked them, how come you didn't tell them to cut their hair? She backed down. And then the Sergeant Major came to me and said, hey, Sergeant Cannon, I like your hair. I said, hey, Sergeant Major, you think I need to cut it? He said, no, it's unique and it's different. I told him, I said, Sergeant Major, First Sergeant, my hairstyle is not faddish. If you can show me 2 or 3 other people, even within the same echelon, go to brigade, go to the division, go show me 2 or 3 other people that is in the same echelon that have the same hairstyle as mine and explain to me how it is faddish. By all means, I say all this to say, I want you to read into the regulation, interpret and understand it, but make sure that you understand when someone tells you to do something, make sure you understand the justification why, and if it's actually legitimate or if it's an opinion.
Do you mind if I add on to that really fast? I'm not sure how it's flowing, if it's like an open conversation. But I wanted to add that I actually did do a lot of research. So I was told the first day I arrived to Fort Leonard Wood, I was at Fort Leonard Wood for 3 months and maybe like 3 months in a week. And I did a lot of research. I know there's a DAPAM that also states it's like the toxic chemical agent safety standards. I also read into that. I read into the Army's regulation, and they actually told me that the reason why I wouldn't be able to have my locks is because of a training called CDTF that we have to go through as chemical officers, which they were saying that with locks, my hair wouldn't be able to be cleaned fully because we were going through live agents. And it didn't make sense to me. Like, a lot of the things that they were saying was very contradicting. It was very inconsistent. And I actually had the opportunity to submit a memorandum. I was trying to be dismissed from the training because I was not cutting off my locks. Like, that wasn't something that I was okay with doing. I feel like it was very inhumane to ask a woman to cut off their hair, especially when I believe that women carry their pride in their face and in their hair. So it was a lot to ask for me to say, oh, you have to cut off your locks. And a lot of people were just saying like, oh, it's just hair, it'll grow back. So it just didn't make sense because not everybody has that same mentality. So I went through the process of submitting a memorandum to be dismissed from the training, and it was actually denied. And it was denied 3 days before the training. So that didn't even give me enough time to comb out my locks because it takes months to comb out locks. It's not like a overnight thing. So I actually had to take scissors to my head, which was very emotional for me, especially because I felt like I was kind of connected to my hair. Even before I had locks, I've always been connected to my hair. So I did go through the process. I did talk to EO. I did talk to the chaplain. I talked to the commandant of the school. I talked to all these different people. And I actually wasn't the only one who had locks. It was me and someone else. And it was disheartening only because I'm branch detail chemical. So I'm not staying chemical. I'm not going to Captain Careers course at Fort Leonard Wood. And I'll only have to go through this training one time. And when I went through the training, they didn't even clean my hair. And I think that was probably the most triggering thing for me because I went through the training. It was a day-long training. And we used hand soap. Like, they were saying like, oh, when you go through the training, they'll have to use a specific soap on your hair to get the chemicals out. You'll have to use a specific soap on your body. There's a procedure. They'll clean your hair. They'll do this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We went through the training and we used the Gojo hand soap that they put in the bathrooms. And nobody cleaned my hair. And it was very upsetting, very upsetting. I was upset the whole time I was at Bullock. I was upset. And I tried to make a change. So right now I'm in the process of trying to make a change. So I know I had to cut off my locks to graduate. I didn't have a choice. They told me that either you're going to cut them or you're not going to graduate. And I didn't come to waste my time or anybody else's time. So I had to go ahead and make that decision, which was hard. And but I'm trying to make a change for the people after me because at this point there's nothing I can do about it. So my plan right now is to get a paper going and writing it. Well, I've already talked to the commandant. He's doing research to they said that they put people through the training who had bulk hair, which I feel like is a very derogatory term to use for African American hair. They called it bulk. And then they also said that we have free flowing hair, which is not true. African American women do not have free flowing hair. And when you look it up on Google, you'll see Caucasian women, Asian women, you'll even see weave, but you will not see the 4C hair type. That's not what it's called. So right now I'm trying to work on helping them kind of I'm trying to help them like rewrite the regulation because it's written very one-sided, and then also do some more research so nobody else has to go through this because it was very emotional for me.
Okay, so LT, I'd say I commend you by far. Like, that was an exceptional piece of information that you just dialogued to all of us. So if you really want to know what it takes for the cadets on the line to leave school and transition into the role as a leader, and the lieutenants that show up in your units, like, that is the example of somebody, when you get that first impression, like, you almost write your top block or your middle block the first time you met. Everything after that builds off of that moment. So to me, having the ability to take, and I'm an MRT as well, right? So out of the MRT is Master Resilience Training. There's about 26 competencies, and usually every MRT trainer picks 2. So my 2 that I stick with and I go with is hunt the good stuff and put it in perspective. It's very hard for a challenging moment like that, but hunting the good stuff that made you a very well-read individual. That made you a very methodical individual. It made you very careful and critical in the way that you decide to proceed forward, and it made you give back. So to me, I think this standard as being exceptional. And the next topic I wanted to go to kind of went towards it already is your name means everything. The first and only female PMS we ever had at Virginia State University, Lieutenant Colonel Bonnie Baker. She said a comment that stuck with me for the remainder of my career. There's only one thing you come in the Army with, name. So I think you working with coming on the instructors that you now set yourself moving forward, right? Because it's a team sport. The Army is like a football team, right? It's a small world. You can be mad down here and be Ocho Cinco playing for this team and not get picked up by another team tomorrow, right? Because everybody talks. So I think, that moment and been turned around, it's the name amongst some chemical leaders in your short stint of being chemical. But those leaders are going to work with folks who aren't chemical as well. And that will resound. I'd say, again, just don't lose that amount of effort, right? When we take an L in the Army, we try to use that and flip it over. It's called resiliency. And you're mastering it right now. So I think everybody on here should take a note that is resiliency right there. That is mastering resiliency. Turn it into usable information that can drive and change processes and functions for those that come before you, those that come after you, and those will be affected by whatever that is. And the last thing I'll leave you with is the other thing that Colonel Baker left us with was even the private that got to Article 15 at least did something for the formation than somebody that just silently took it and kept it moving. Because if you walk into an organization and your name is not known when you get there, it's not known when you leave there, and you provided no value to that unit, as a leader, what value you in the next organization? Because that's the name that's going. When they start looking to see, hey, who's Lieutenant Powell? Anybody speak for him? Never heard of him. Thought she just kind of coasted through here. Right, Alexis, you probably speak to that. First Army is huge, right? To make an impact in a large organization means something. So that's where I'll leave you at.
So we appreciate that, and we appreciate it all. And forgive me for closing it like this. We're a little bit over time. We don't care. We hope we answered all your questions, right? And for those that may still have questions or concerns, do me a favor, save them for next time, because we will try to make this a quarterly event for the Virginia State ROTC Cadets online. And share with your peers what you learned and what they may have missed. We look forward to next participation next quarter with this exercise, and we're going to close it out.
Well,
Sergeant Major, you got anything you want to add?
I do not. I really enjoyed this forum, and I hope we do more and have more participation. I think it's helpful for a lot of reasons.
Oh. Hey, sir, Major Littlejohn, you want to close out with anything?
And no, hey, Ty. So Ty's a very humble individual, right? He keeps saying it's us, it's we. No, this is 100% Ty's effort, right? This is on with Dr. Abdullah last night, and he'll go back and look at this video, Ms. Zor. But this is underneath his mantra, VSU transforms, right? We've all come into a certain metric and transformed who we are and who we're going to be along the way. So Ty, I truly want to say thank you, right? This is your effort. Take credit for the effort that you put in, right? This is your effort. I appreciate you for having taken the time to kind of put this together for these cadets and for the lieutenants on the crew as well. And then last plug. So we have the VSU Military Alumni Association, right? And so Colonel Harris kind of talked about it at the beginning. We're doing a huge ramp up, probably the largest ramp up since probably around 2007 on the Alumni Association, how we're going to build and grow the program. I'm not going to steal the mentorship team's thunder. They're going to put it out, but I highly encourage you to participate. Lieutenants participate for free. second lieutenant, 12 months for free. All right, is at no cost to you to come get free mentorship. That's free chicken every day of the week. If you turn that down from people that actually want to give back to you, we're building a list of all of our lineage from, I guess, Lieutenant Powell's class on back to Joe. You know, but we're building a lineage, and in that process of that lineage, there's so many people here that want to volunteer to take advantage of helping you guys out and talking to you. And when you show up at that first duty station, or when you're at Fort Leonard Wood and there's other Virginia State graduates there, you're going through a rough point by yourself. We don't want you to be there by yourself. We don't want you to have to go through that alone. We want to help you do that research. The Army is a copy and paste team, right? Is everybody has the same test for the most part. How you get after the test is how you can get after that test. We just want to make it easier for you along the way. So becoming a member of the VSU Military Alumni Association puts you one foot in the game. Again, if you want to go your career alone, you can do that. That's a choice. Another way is to start your career with, you know, people like this, the Colonel Sabrina Thweets, right? Promoted below the zone to 06, battalion command and heading into brigade command, resident senior service college select, sitting right now. That's a graduate of Virginia State University. Brigadier General Thigpen, Brigadier General Moore, General Vi. And even if you come back down to the lieutenant colonels, Lieutenant Colonel Bowden and his wife, Major Dee Bowden, right? Promoted below the zone. There's heavy hitters out here that are ready and armed and equipped to invest in you. So that's all that's all I'm gonna ask for you, is to invest in yourselves by joining the Military Alumni Association. I think after that 12-month period, Ty, correct me if I'm wrong, it's $18.84.
$18.82, or you can pay $7.50 for the rest of your life, that lifetime membership.
All right. So again, for $18, all right, for $1 a day, you too can feed a hungry child, right? For $18.82, you too can get a bevy of 40+ active duty, reserve, and guard mentors that just sits there ready for you today, all the way from the rank of lieutenant, all the way up to the rank of 4-star general retired. So that's what I got. And then I'm going to cut the live off after you close, Ty. But if anybody wants to hang on, my next hit point isn't until 12:30. So I'm going to leave the live. I'm going to leave Zoom up, but I'll close off the Facebook and the YouTube.
So we can go ahead and wrap it up. Hey, once again, I want to thank everyone, especially the panel members. Man, we all are out here. You have children, right? It's a weekend, and time is precious. Time is valuable. So thank you for everyone taking the time out to give back to Virginia State University. We appreciate all of you. I know my man Marlon, he's up at our Warfighter. Kirby down in the school. Sergeant Cannon out active duty. We all out living our lives. So taking the time out to give back to the university. We can't thank you all enough. I know Colonel Black wanted to close us out, but he's out with the cadets getting after it right now. And we appreciate everything, and we'll keep you informed on the next quarter's LPD. Hey, thanks for everything. Take care. Enjoy your weekend.
Hill State, man. Thank you.
Did everybody get my well, most of y'all have my number, but did everyone get my contact information when I